All right. So Fox News ratings are out. You know, they unveiled their big new lineup, the big primetime lineup that was somehow going to fix all their trouble. So they're trying to be politically correct enough, right? Not get themselves in trouble. Hopefully not really alienate anyone. Good luck, right? In this current world in which we live, while simultaneously still being able to deliver on the viewership, except that, you know, again, this is easier said than done. And even though they put somebody in the slot that they thought would kind of appease the base that used to watch Fox, most of whom don't anymore, well, it didn't quite work because the numbers reflect, well, quite a significant downturn. We're talking 800,000 viewers less at 8 p.m. on Fox News than they used to get with the former guy, Tucker Carlson, in the seat. So Jesse Waters took over again. Like you would think, Jesse Waters, he's going to appeal to a lot of the people that like Fox. But, you know, it's not that easy. I'm just going to say that again. Jesse's great. I like Jesse a lot. He's a wonderful guy. But he doesn't quite have the same sort of edge, shall we say, or the same kind of, dare I say, academic approach, because it wasn't really academic with Tucker, but he had kind of a contrarian sort of interesting view on things that you're not going to get everywhere, right? You're not going to, but Jesse, who, by the way, used to do a great job on Bill O'Reilly when he did those like man on the street things and he'd ask people questions, and that was like him at his best. But as an anchor, it's an entirely different sort of role. And I think it's a more challenging role for him. Certainly at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock is the big, you know, that's a big kahuna, right? Like you got to really be able to deliver there. And so what they have found is something that they probably didn't anticipate. For example, the demos were not so hot. We're talking 161,000 viewers in that key 25 to 54-year-old demo. Apparently Tucker had something like 400, not quite 400. Well, actually, according to this data, usually more than 400,000. So the demo that people talk about, even if you're getting millions of viewers, is pretty darn critical because the demo's sort of everything, right? Because advertisers, they base what they sell off of the demo. And so you want young people, of course, watching your network because you want to keep growing. And so thus the demo's pretty darn important. But these demo numbers are not good. In fact, he actually went down a little bit from Laura Ingraham, who was moved to 7 o'clock. Which I think is, you know what? It's good for Laura. It's better for her life. It might be seen as a little bit of a demotion, but the truth is 7 o'clock is a more reasonable time, don't you think, to be on television? And so I know a lot of people were actually pleased with that only because they like her and want to be able to watch her at an earlier hour than 10 o'clock. So the new lineup, of course, was Laura at 7 and the other guy at 8, Jesse, and then followed by Hannity, and then Greg Gutfeld. Now, Greg actually he's a unique character, and he's got a little bit of sarcasm that plays well for a lot of people, and I think he actually may have had the best night of all. Hannity got only 150,000 demo viewers, which is apparently like 50,000 less than Rachel Maddow. So they're going to play it off like, this is great. You know, we still won the night. But look, I've worked there. I know how this goes. This is what you call a little bit of panic time. I mean, I would just say, hey, everybody take it easy because it's July, end of July. You're going into August. And so you got to be able to kind of find your groove and hit the ground running eventually. Like it's not going to all happen, right, in one night. But I would also say this same particular management team, I think, had quite a failure before. Remember when they tried to put, what was that show, The Five on at 9 o'clock? I heard that was Murdoch's idea. The Five is a great show. It's a fun show. It's wonderful at 5 o'clock. You don't want to watch it at 9 o'clock. And so you might be asking a similar question here at 8 o'clock. In other words, Jesse's on The Five at 5 o'clock. Like maybe that works a little bit better. Maybe you need a little bit. Maybe he's not like the leading anchor guy, right? Or it doesn't have quite the edge to his story ideas and takes that you need at 8 o'clock. I mean, very, very talented, hugely talented. But sometimes you kind of need to know where to play people. Like, I'll give you an example. Do not ever put me on in the morning. Ever. You know, I may seem bright and cheery and all that, but you never want me as a morning show host. I am way too serious, like way too serious. I would have a hard time with the cooking segments. I would just, I wouldn't know what to do when they, want to go out and jump on a trampoline. Like it wouldn't be me, right? Like, so it would be completely wrong. But I've had a lot of producers say, oh, you know what, Trish, you'd be great on the morning show. No, 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 no. Like I'm too dense and intellectual and too wonky and interested in policy to ever be able to pull off a morning show. I mean, I can't act that well, certainly not well enough for that. So again, like it's knowing your team and knowing how to use them appropriately. I wouldn't quibble with the Laura thing. I actually think that 7 o'clock is quite great. And even Greg at 10 o'clock, it's nice to be able to get your comedy a little bit earlier, right? Like, because everybody wants to go to bed at some point. But the 8 and the 9, they're going to have a big hole there. You need more. You need a richness. You need an angle. You need intellect. I mean, you really do. And I'm afraid that is going to prove to be increasingly more challenging for them. But look, none of it matters anyway, because let's face it, network TV is over, done, kaput. It is. Trust me on this. No one in their right mind would ever want to go work for a network right now. They better be paying those guys really, really well, because you think of what they could do on their own, right? I mean, it's over. Legacy media is not trusted by the public. And having worked in it my whole career, I'll tell you this, it's no fun, because you're dealing with internal politics. You're dealing with White House politics. I mean, when your news director gets a call from the White House saying, hey, why are they talking about this, that, or the other? That's no fun. So then you're also trying to manage the investors, right? The ESG guys that have bought up, 5% of Class B share Fox shares, and they may have nearly 5% of A shares as well. This is the stock. Well, then you're having to answer to a whole lot of people, and that can run you into trouble. It certainly is a talent, because you don't have the flexibility to be who you are. And well, I kind of just say what I think, even when it gets me in trouble, and I don't have any problem doing it. So I'd much rather be with all of you, direct to you. And I think that more and more and more in this new environment, you're going to see that. That is the future. Right here, right now is the future. Live show. I'm looking at some of your comments right now. You're making the point that so many people have left. You're right. Riley's gone. Megan's gone. Lou Dobbs is gone. I'm gone. I mean, hey, even Geraldo's gone, right? So it's not even necessarily partisan, but the place is kind of falling apart at the seams. And what they're going to have to figure out how to do as a business is run it really, really tight. You cannot, you've got to squeeze those margins. You can't spend a lot on talent anymore, because the business is dying. This is why Bob Iger, who's the CEO of Disney, wants to get out of ABC, even ESPN, because there's no future in that. The future is all online. I mean, going through the cable companies and looking for a little handout. Can we get a few bucks if you carry our channel? And the cable company says, oh, yes, we'll carry your channel. But guess what? You're not allowed to stream that channel anywhere else, because we have exclusivity, which, by the way, they deserve if they're paying you for it. Well, what kind of model is that going forward, especially when there's so many cord cutters? I never use my cable anymore. It's kind of funny. I mean, I use it up here in the studio sometimes just to see what's going on the news front. But do I ever watch cable TV? Maybe for some athletic things, but I'm not really into sports, so that doesn't quite count. Hey everyone, Trish Regan here. If you enjoyed that clip, please do me the favor of subscribing to the channel. Just hit that little subscribe button right over there. Did I do that right? Not quite, but you know where it is. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so that you get the alerts, and I'll see you back on the show.